What's going on, guys? In this one, I'm going to be giving my picks for rivalry week of college football. This is a huge weekend for playoff implications. Obviously, a lot of these games are rivalry games, so there's an added level of pressure on both sides. So let's just get into it. We got a lot of games on Friday, starting off. First of which is Utah and Kansas. I think Utah's going to win this game. Kansas hasn't had that great of a season. Utah's solid. I think in terms of their college football playoff hopes, they've kind of peaked. I don't know how much they can move up unless they were to get into the Big 12 title game, which, is a long shot. But yeah, I'd like Utah to win this game, and I think they've had a pretty successful season, should get a solid bowl game. But yeah, playoffs might not be obtainable this year for them. Ole Miss, Mississippi State, this one's actually kicking off in just about 40-ish minutes. Before this, or earlier this week, maybe last week, I was thinking there's no way Ole Miss wins. And now the more I think about it, I'm like, all right, they're going to a hostile environment. They're playing their in-state rival. There's so much drama surrounding this Ole Miss program with Lane Kiffin and his little publicity stunt about where he's going to go, if he's going to leave for Florida or LSU, or if he's going to stay. And I feel like it has all the makings for Mississippi State upset. And now, granted, I could totally see Ole Miss coming out motivated and just dominating Mississippi State. They are the superior team. However, I'm going to go with a little upset here. It is rivalry week. I think Mississippi State is going to have that extra push, and they're going to get the upset win. Georgia and Georgia Tech. Now, I'm sure you guys all remember last year, I think it was 9 overtime game between these two. An absolute thriller. Georgia Tech coming off a pretty heartbreaking loss against Pitt that kind of knocked them out of ACC title contention. They would need a lot of things to go their way. And then Georgia, they're sitting pretty right now, looking... they've concluded their SEC play. I don't think they would be in right now if Alabama were to win this weekend. So they're probably going to need a little help to make the SEC title game. But this is a rivalry game for them, and I don't think this is going to be similar to last year. I think Georgia is far superior, and we've seen now that Georgia Tech struggles with decent competition. They did not play well against Pitt. They kind of got dominated. Their defense was struggling. Haynes King, I know people are trying to absolve him of blame, but that pick six when they were trying to come back, that pick six that he threw at about their own 5-yard line, that was really costly. So I actually think Georgia's going to win this one big. Then we got a huge one, Texas A&M and Texas, the Friday night game. Texas, some people think they're still playing for college football playoff hopes. I guess they are. They would need many, many things to go their way, but this is a game that they would obviously have to have. Texas A&M, obviously, you win this game, you're in the SEC title game. I'm not sure the tiebreakers if they lose, but I think they would still have a good shot at making it. And then, Texas, the last time they played a good team, it was at Georgia, and they got blown out. This game is at home, I understand that. But I just don't know how much faith I have in this team after that performance against Georgia. And you look at Georgia and A&M, and I know A&M maybe hasn't played the schedule of Georgia, but let's think about what they have done. They beat Notre Dame, which is a good game. And I feel like Texas A&M and Georgia are kind of in like a separate tier in the SEC, along with maybe Bama if they put things together. But I just don't know that Texas is going to have enough. It's going to help that it's on a home field, but I'm going to go with the Aggies to win this one and eliminate the Longhorns. Indiana and Purdue. I believe this one is Saturday at 7:30, or maybe it's Friday at 7. I don't even know. Indiana's had a great season. Purdue has not had a great season, and let's not overthink this one. I know Purdue has played spoiler many times against top 5 teams at home, but this Indiana team is good. They're legit, and what a season for them that they're having. They should win this one 12-0 and then head to the Big Ten title game. This one should be a fun one because both teams are ranked now. Arizona and Arizona State. Shout out to Arizona for getting in the rankings. We know that Arizona State had these expectations at the beginning of the season. Were the Big 12 favorites, I believe. Didn't quite live up to those. They still have an outside shot at making it, but it's very unlikely. And if you look at this, Camp Scatabo is going to be in attendance on a side note, unrelated. So that should be fun for them. I don't really know too much about Arizona or Arizona State, I'm going to be totally honest. I do have Arizona State winning this one because I think that they've been more consistent throughout the year. They've dealt through some injuries with Sam Leavitt, and yet they've still worked their way up into this ranking. So I'm going to go with the Sun Devils. And here is the big game. The game. Ohio State and Michigan. Now, I just want to give a little disclaimer here. I'm a little biased in this one because I'm a Michigan student, but I think that Ohio State, we saw what happened last year, right? Everybody was saying there's no way Ohio State loses this game. They have the far superior roster. It's at home. All the pressure's on. Or sorry, there's no pressure. It's just Michigan, and Michigan ended up stealing that game. This year, Michigan improved roster. I don't think they're as strong. Their defensive line is definitely not as strong, which I think will hurt them. But their offense, I'd say, is better than it was last year. The question will be, can this Michigan team stay in it early? If they stay in it early and this thing gets to a one-score game late in the fourth, I think Michigan wins this game. I think that's just going to be a gut check. And Ryan Day teams have not shown us that they have what it takes to win these close games against Michigan. It's going to help that it's played in the big house. I know snow's on the forecast, but I think it's predicted for later in the day. Look, all the signs point towards Ohio State winning this one, this being the year, but I'm going with Michigan, man. I think that when you look at it's hard for me to pick against them because they have won the past 4 years, and I know it gets harder and harder each year. I guess sort of more and more pressure mounts, but this team is better than they were last year. They're at a home crowd. I think if they get to saying enough and keep this game close, Michigan will win this game, and I think that's going to happen. Miami and Pitt. Pitt had a huge win against Georgia Tech last week. I think they're still in contention for the ACC. I think Miami is too, but it's a long, long shot. I'm going with Miami to win this one. I could see this one easily going the other way, though. It's a tough game. Pitt is no slouch, and they're going to be highly motivated because we know their coach really cares about these ACC games, rightfully so. But I actually do like Carson Beck and Miami. I think they're going to be playing with a real sense of urgency here. They're going to be trying to blow out this Pitt team. I don't know that it's going to happen like that, but I do think they will win because they're really scraping for anything that they could get to improve their resume for the playoff. Tech and West Virginia, not going to overthink this one. Texas Tech should win this one, get to 11-1, and look good for the Big 12 title game. Likewise, I think BYU will handle their business and get to the Big 12 title game. I don't understand how BYU is ranked number 11. I mean, I guess I sort of do understand it. They haven't really played the schedule, but I'm pretty sure their strength of record is very high. And I thought that was a metric that was highly emphasized by the committee. I guess I don't really know. However, I think that BYU, if they go 11-1 and they lose a close game to Texas Tech, they should still be in the playoff. Because I don't think you can penalize... I don't know that you should penalize BYU for losing a close game in the Big 12 title game. Now, if they get blown out again by Texas Tech, I don't think they deserve to be in. And I don't think they will be. But it'll be interesting to see what the committee does in either of those scenarios, but regardless, BYU wins easily this weekend. Oregon and Washington. Never underestimate this rivalry. These teams do not like each other, and it's always a lot of fun when they play each other. Specifically, I go back to that game in 23, I think, when Oregon came to Washington. Now, I'm not talking about the Pac-12 title game. When Oregon came to Washington, and it was like Bo Nix and like Tez Johnson and those guys versus Rome Odunze, Michael Penix, Jalen Polk. Those are some really good games. And so it seems this is a game that I could easily see Oregon losing. Washington's had a decent season. They would still be in the running for this thing had they not gotten upset by Wisconsin, which knocked them to 3 losses and out of the playoff conversation. But I'm going to go with Oregon. I think they're going to be... There's a lot of pressure on them because if they lose this game, who knows what happens to their playoff standings. They are no shoo-in if they lose this game, especially if the other teams that could potentially replace them, such as a Michigan or a Vanderbilt, if they win at Tennessee, those teams could seriously give them a run for their money and may even beat them in a head-to-head comparison for that final spot. So yeah, but I do think Oregon's going to handle business and finally get a win. It feels like they haven't won at Washington in forever, but I think they're going to win this one. LSU and Oklahoma. LSU, a lot of chatter about them with the whole Lane Kiffin ordeal. Will he go there? Will he not? Who knows? I don't really want to speculate about that. And then Oklahoma, you got a team who A couple of weeks ago, they were looking at losing to Alabama and probably being done. But then they get that win, and now they're really in the driver's seat. And LSU, I know they're 7-4, so it's not terrible, but obviously this season has not lived up to their own expectations. And Oklahoma's been playing solid. And I like this Oklahoma defense to stifle LSU. I think really the only way LSU wins this game is if they get like a couple takeaways. So I think if Oklahoma takes care of the ball, which I think they will, they should be able to win this game. Vanderbilt, Tennessee, this is a huge one for Vanderbilt because if they win this one, they're 10-2, and that's a pretty solid win at Tennessee. And then you start talking, well, what if Alabama wins? What if Michigan wins? What if I don't know. Like, what if Alabama? What if Miami wins again? Are you gonna let 6 SEC teams in the playoff? I don't know. That seems like a lot to me. So I think even if Vanderbilt wins this, they would still probably need some help. Same with Michigan, by the way. I think for either of these teams, maybe Michigan would have a little more leeway because they're playing the number 1 team, but I feel like both of these teams would need like one of those top 10 teams to lose to gain some more confidence, because remember, the 11 and 12 spot are essentially for ACC and Group of 5, so you really got to be in the top 10 by the end of this thing to make the playoff. Regardless, Dago Pavias had a great year. Tennessee, they haven't even played terribly. I remember they played Alabama close. They played Georgia really close. So, they're a couple close results away from really being squarely in the mix here, but they're not. However, it is still senior day for Joey Aguilar, and I'm going to go with the Vols to get this win. I like them, and I think this will eliminate Vanderbilt from playoff contention. Virginia Tech and Virginia. Apparently, Virginia Tech has absolutely dominated this rivalry for the longest time. But unluckily for them, Virginia is actually pretty good this year, and Virginia Tech is not good. It's at home. Give me the Cavaliers. UCLA and USC. UCLA, we know the story with them. They have not had a good season. USC coming off a tough loss at Oregon that essentially eliminated them from the playoff contention. However, this is still a rivalry game at the Coliseum, and I think the Trojans take care of this one. Here's another huge one, Alabama and Auburn. Alabama, I feel like, has not kind of got exposed in that Oklahoma game for their inability to run the football. And that's, a glaring problem, especially in a rivalry game on the road. Oh, man. This could be a recipe for disaster. Auburn, on the other hand, they have not had the season we expected. Hugh Freeze is gone. Maybe that gives them some extra motivation. I don't know. But Alabama, their inability to run the football has made them very one-dimensional. And so I think it's kind of easier for teams to game plan against them. I'm not as confident in this Alabama team as I once was, pre-Oklahoma. Hey, guys, I'm going to do it. I'm going for an Iron Bowl upset. I got Auburn shocking the world and beating the Crimson Tide. I don't know if this is going to happen. This seems like a long shot. But yeah, I got Ole Miss and Alabama losing. So I don't know if that's going to happen, guys. I don't know. We'll see. But I think what better time than rivalry week for these types of games to happen. And then we just have a couple other ranked teams playing. Tulane and Charlotte. Give me Tulane. SMU and Cal. I like SMU to win this game and then clinch their spot in the ACC title game. So great season for them. And then lastly, Notre Dame and Stanford. What a matchup this would have been 10 years ago, right? With Christian McCaffrey. But times have changed. Notre Dame needs to win this game, obviously, and they're going to. Stanford is nothing special. And yeah, guys, that is the end of my college football rivalry week predictions. Let me know what you think down below. If you agree with any of my takes, disagree with any of them. And yeah, guys, hope you enjoyed.